Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to kind of walk you through a hand, and it's a variation on a turn blocker bet, but I'm going to kind of point out the areas that will apply to pretty much any hand that you're going to be playing versus things that are a little bit more specific to this hand. And really the point of that is I don't want to walk you through something that you can't really use. I want you to be able to take something from this exact hand and implement it into your game right away. So let's get into the hand. I have ace of diamonds, 10 of diamonds, 20,000 chips. Blinds are 200, 400. So right out of the gate, I have to calculate how many big blinds I have. So the answer to that is 50, which is right on the border of medium to large stack. With these types of stacks, I'm able to play a few more hands. I don't necessarily have to be all in pre-flop. But again, before we get into too deep of all that, we want to just see what happens and then play our hand as it comes to us. Okay, the action folds to, let's see here, the under the gun +2, and I'm sitting in the cutoff +2. Now, ace 10, there's a raise from under the gun +2 to 800. Now, we've gone through this before, but this is a scenario that you will always know what to do if you're following the poker model. So, there's a standard raise in front of us. We have over 20 big blinds, which means that we have this green light to make calls with more hands than if we had less chips. So ace 10 happens to fall into that category of what we call call behind hands. So if you're in this situation and there's one raise in front of you and you have 50 big blinds, you have the green light to make a call with pocket pairs 2 through queen, ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, and king jack. So that will happen in a lot of hands that you're playing. So if you're aware of those variables and that hand range, you'll always know that you should make a call here if you're using the poker model. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a call for 800. Okay, so the button actually makes the call as well. And the significance of that call is that I no longer will be last to act on the flop. It doesn't matter too much at this point, but it's something to take note of and then see how the hand plays out. Okay, the small and big blind fold, and the flop comes 10 to 4 with no flush draw. The action is on the original raiser, and he makes a bet of 1,500, which is half the pot. Now, half the pot is an average size bet. 2/3 or more of the pot is a large bet, and 1/3 or less of the pot is a small bet, according to the poker model. Now, this is textbook continuation bet here. This player raised pre-flop, the action was on them first post-flop, and they made a bet. Now, like all hands, I'm going to be in this situation. I made my call because I knew my criteria. There's one bet in front of me now on the flop. I have to look at the strength of my hand. So I have a mediocre hand because it is top pair. Top pair, second pair, draws, those are mediocre hands, and I can give you the specifics on any flop of what those mediocre hands would be. Big hands would be something like a set on this flop, or 2 pair or something like that. And bad hands are really everything else. So you really have to be aware that most of the time you're going to have a bad hand on the flop, and we'll play that accordingly. But today, and in this hand, what I'm trying to do now is I just want to make sure that I don't get bluffed off the hand, and that I can try to get to the river and maximize the value at the same time, which sounds really tricky. But anyways, all we have is one bet in front of us right here, and the action's on me. So with a mediocre hand, I have over 20 big blinds still. I can make this call. And what this call is going to do is it's hopefully going to allow me to get to the turn. If something weird happens, we'll address that when it comes to us. But right now, I don't want to be raising and be put all in, because there's just a chance that I'm not winning with my 10 if that happens. So let's see how the hand plays out. I make my call. Okay, and the button calls as well. So really, again, now we're in second to act here. There's a lot more in the pot now because the player behind us called, and it's still on us. Now, you have to have this sense of just knowing what's in the pot, knowing that 8,000 chips is going to be your threshold with blinds at 2-4, and I have 17,700 chips. Now, I still have a pretty solid hand here. So I have to really be thinking like, how can I get to the river? But also, if someone's going all in and really like being aggressive here, it's possible they have a 10, but it's also possible that they have an overpair or, something that is already beating me. And I think when they talk about making big folds and they say, wow, how could that person have known to fold here? It's because of these types of situations. It's because it looks really good, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's ahead. So what we like to do here at the Poker Model is make it all about stack sizes and kind of controlling the action. So before anything happens, let's see if there's any other action. So it's on my opponent first. Okay, and he makes a bet of 2,500. So what I have to be thinking here is, if I just make a call of 2,500, I'm going to have about 15,000 chips left. I still have a guy behind me that could call. I still have a guy behind me that could raise. And that would really make this hand now, it would escalate the hand to a place where it's like, man, I don't really know what I should do. Should I be going all in? Should I be patient? Someone probably has me beat. I mean, what are the chances that everybody has a 10 and my kicker's winning? So you got to keep that in mind. You have to understand, like, I'm going to make my play right now, and I'm going to say, look, I am not going below the 8,000 chip threshold on this hand. I don't care how good it looks. If I had a good hand like pocket tens or something awesome, I'd be very happy right now because I'd probably be doubling up. So the move here, like we mentioned before, is a turn blocker bet. The turn blocker bet is me, in my mind, saying I will not lose my tournament on this hand and I will not go below a chip amount that I'm comfortable with. I will also take control of the hand. So if the bet is 2,500 into me, if I make a turn blocker bet to 5,000, which is just min raising that, I'm done. I'm done on the hand. If someone goes all in, I'm going to fold. If both players fold, I'll win. If we get to the river and a card comes and it's not checked to me, I'll probably fold to a big bet. So I want to show you how this works. I make the bet to I make the raise turn blocker bet to 5,000. And what that did was it forced the button to fold, because now we really know if he has it or not, and he didn't. And the action's back on the original raiser, and he actually folded as well. So this will happen a lot. It's a very unconventional way to play the hand, and you have to have the discipline to make the fold if the original raiser goes all in over the top of you and really puts your whole tournament to the test. Because most of the time, that means that you are beat, and you don't need to be all in this spot. As long as you have over 20 big blinds, you can win the whole tournament and find a much easier place to get all in. So kind of take this for what you will. Notice that you might be in this exact situation. That's a possibility. But I want you to take the variables away that really apply to everything. Knowing your stack size, knowing your call behind hands, knowing when you're trying to just keep the pot where you want it and keep your stack where you want it. And in this case, it ended up being very successful for me with top pair. With a good hand, I'm going to double up here. With a bad hand, I'm going to lose nothing. But the whole idea is there's no way I'm losing my whole tournament on this type of hand unless I have a great hand and for some reason I get unlucky and someone gets, hits a better hand on the river or something. So, I hope this makes sense. And really, this is how we want to teach you the poker model. We don't want to just talk through one specific example and say, hey, look, figure this out. We really want you to take this away and say, look, if I have over 20 big blinds on one of these hands, I'm allowed to call this one bet. If I have, 30 big blinds on the turn, I could do a turn blocker bet, keep my stack over 20 big blinds, and still possibly win the pot. Tournament life is key. So again, thanks for joining us today. We look forward to hearing from you, and we will see you on the next episode of the Poker Model Hand Breakdown. As always, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Poker Model Hand Breakdown. For more training tools and Texas Hold'em advice, subscribe to our YouTube channel or pay us a visit at thepokermodel.com to see our weekly articles, bi-weekly podcasts, and other episodes of the Poker Model Hand Breakdown. Until next time.